Hi everyone, it's James Malfetus here, and I want to give you a warm welcome to the Regular Accounting Client Consultation Sales Funnel Masterclass. Try to say that quickly 6 times in a row. And I'm going to teach you today how to get at least 2 new paid consultations every month, and the emphasis here is squarely on the word paid, without having to cold call or to spend hours at networking meetings. So my goal for you in this training today is for you to learn how you can use the automation and the scaling power, particularly of the internet, to get a consistent flow of new clients that are going to pay you for a consultation. And better yet, the best news here, and this is so cool, and I'm going to show you the ninja psychology later on. I'm going to show you why they will have already decided to hire you as their accountant before they actually meet with you for the first time. So you're going to find this training totally different to anything that you've ever seen in the past, and I can categorically say that because I know nothing else like it exists. And probably the biggest difference is that I'm going to spend quite a lot of time today really giving you context so that everything's going to make sense, because I know I'm going to talk about a lot of concepts that many of you may not be familiar with. And you're going to find also that this is a very visual training, and this is going to make things 10 times easier for you to understand, because I'm really going to show you everything as opposed to just try and tell you stuff. So you're not going to get any nonsense with bullet points, no death by PowerPoint here. And not only that, but every single concept that I show you and that I create for you, I'm actually going to show you how it fits on one single page. So it's really going to make your recall very, very simple. So this training really is for all types of financial professionals. So I use the word accountant fairly loosely, but it encompasses accountants, auditors, bookkeepers, tax practitioners, and financial advisors. So the reality is, who's this for? Well, it really doesn't matter if you fall into one of those groups. How old you are, we don't care what your income level is. In fact, we don't even care if you've got any clients. It also doesn't matter if you're just starting out in your business or you're a 20-year veteran. This system is actually going to work for you. So here's the crux. If you need to get face-to-face with a prospect in order to turn them into a paying client, then this, of course, is going to be the perfect system for you. So before I jump into the training, let me just tell you a little bit about myself, because this is going to give you tremendous insight into this one-page system that I'm actually going to teach you today, and that's going to help you to really apply it in your business very, very quickly. So at the very beginning, I actually did my articles at Pricewaterhouse, and I qualified as a chartered accountant in 1993, which seems eons ago now. And I spent half of that time in the profession in practice, and most of that was as a partner in a small audit practice, and the other half in commerce and industry as a financial manager or a financial director in both private and listed companies. I think I had a rush of blood at one point where I decided I should go and spend some time in a listed concern, but I guess the experience was good, and it really has put me in a great space to give you guys the system, because I've seen so many different businesses from the inside and from the outside. The saddest part for me, really, if I go back to 2011, I was actually forced to leave the profession. Now, this was my audit practice because, I'd invested 25 years in this profession, but I hadn't got paid a salary for 8 straight months. And as you probably know, as partners, we generally get paid last. We pay everybody else first. And even as I tell you this, and I've told this story, I don't know how many times, I still get that kind of knot in my stomach and that, that bit in my throat, because it was such a sad day for me. And the thing that frustrated me so much was that we had such a good practice, but we actually lost a few key clients during the recession. And for the life of me, I had no idea how to replace them. And of course, neither did my fellow partners. And I really was determined to go and crack this customer acquisition puzzle, because I really didn't want to find myself in this situation again. And it's quite funny, because around about that time, I actually saw an article, and I was really inspired by something that Bill Gates had said. And he said this 2 decades before that, which just goes to show how prophetic he is. That's probably why he's got more money than the rest of us put together. And he said, if your business is not on the internet, then your business will be out of business. And that really resonated with me, and I could see that things were going to change. So I decided to study internet marketing, which is really just the process of selling goods and services online, because even then I knew that Bill was right, and I could see things were changing, and I knew that the way that people were going to buy accounting services in the future was going to completely change. Now, I would love to tell you, that I was an immediate success online, but alas, I absolutely was not. In fact, this is so horrendous. I actually spent 2 years of 12 to 14 hour days, 7 days a week, getting my head around this internet marketing thing. In fact, I kind of like to refer to this as internet marketing reverse multi-level marketing hell. So, that multi-level marketing, network marketing story where you tell 2 people and they tell 2 people? Well, I studied one thing, and then I realized I needed to know about 2 more things, and then I studied those 2 things, and then I realized I need to know about 4 more things. And man, this process went on literally for 2 years until this torture stopped. And that's kind of the only way I can describe it, because I really was floundering around. And eventually, a little bit of sense prevailed after a couple of years. And I thought to myself, you know what? I need to get a mentor. And the minute I did that, everything changed for me. It's probably the best decision that I ever made. And he really taught me possibly the greatest marketing secret online to getting a consistent flow of new clients. And you should write this down, because this is one of those. Let's write it down, as this is really the secret, and you're going to see it as it underpins everything that I'm going to show you today. And that secret was to build an email list so that I could market them anytime I wanted to. So every single week, every single session we had, the very first question he would ask me, and he used to drive me nuts. It actually became a joke at the end. He said to me, James, what did you do today to build your list? What did you do this week to build your list? Okay, he'd send me emails, and the first thing in the email was, oh, what did you do today to build your list? One day I remember he promised me a training video, and I was very excited, and he sent it to me, and I opened up the video, and guess what the first thing was out of his mouth? Yep, you get it. James, what have you done to build your list today? So guess what? I went and I built this darn list. And you know what? In reality, at the end of the day, I wasted quite a lot of time, maybe another year or so. And the reason was because I did not know what to do with this list. Okay, this is great. Now I have the list. What on earth do I do with the list? So eventually, I knew that this concept of sales funnels worked, and I understood why you had to buy a list, and I saw other marketers using the same system and making money, and it just frustrated the living daylights on me that I couldn't do it. So eventually what I did is I ended up paying $3,000, that's US dollars for my South African counterpart, so that was real money even then, for a program to learn from the quote-unquote marketing gurus. So I also then went ahead and I spent another $1,000 on advertising, because they promised me that I could sell their products in their quote-unquote best performing funnel, and I'd make like $1,000 per sale. So I said, okay, where do I sign? I'm in. And I remember I spent an entire December, when everyone else was on holiday, promoting this stupid funnel, spending this extra $1,000. So that's now $4,000, right? And guess what? Guess how many sales I made? Yep. Absolutely right. Exactly 0 sales. Okay, so I've made 0 sales while losing a month of my life, and I kind of figured that losing $4,000 in a month got me roll the peep. So I was incensed, and I've got to tell you that nothing focuses the mind like total abject failure. And to be honest, I considered $4,000 in a month of my life as abject failure. So instead of just burying my head and being all sad about it, I decided, no, bugger this, So what I did was I dissected everything, and I went through every aspect, and I tore everything apart, and I tried to work out why I had failed. And then I decided to study the actual real online gurus, because the sales funnels, I knew it worked, and I really had to get my head around it. And so I found out who all the key guys were. I bought all of their stuff. I spent thousands of dollars more. I spent at least 1,000 hours, but by now it's multiple thousand hours actually learning how to build sales funnels and learning about a list. And I did everything I possibly could. And eventually, I'm pleased to say that obviously paid off. And eventually I cracked the code, and I actually started making money in my own funnel by adding these leads and customers at will. So I built that list, and when I sent emails out from that list, I would make money. So that was absolutely awesome. And then for me, the next logical step was to go and publish a book. So that's what I did. And I published my first book called Infinite Sales Funnels, More Leads, More Customers, More Sales. And guess what I did? Oh yeah, I went back into the profession, and I started teaching accountants how to get more clients and how to sell more services. And I have to tell you, sometimes in life you get a little bit lucky, and I had my fair share of luck when I was starting out, because I actually approached all the CPE or the CPD providers, depending on where in the world you come from, and I offered to do a free webinar teaching the sales funnel, and everybody said yes. And the very first webinar I did was just before one of the practice management conferences here in South Africa, and I actually got 160 accountants onto this webinar. So what I did was I taught them the sales funnel system, and at the end of the webinar, I just made them a very, very soft consultation offer. And to be honest, I was hoping to get maybe 10 people to sign up, and to my great delight and consternation at the same time, I actually got 40 people to pay me a consultation. And me being me, I didn't just do one of these webinars, I did a whole bunch. So in a 6-week period, I ended up doing like literally 70 virtually back-to-back consultations with accountants, where we were looking at things and working out what a sales funnel was. And it didn't take me very long to realize, as I was going through this, that I was in this mold of selling products. So I was a digital product creator, like my book, for example. But guess what? Welcome to the real world. Not like I hadn't been there for the last 25 years, but the reality is accountants sell services and not products. So we had to think on our feet, and we had to adjust things. But after that whole process, what I did was I went through the notes of every single consultation that I did. And the great news is that I did consultations with everybody from bookkeepers all the way to chartered accountants. So I got to see the full spectrum. And you know what? I learned a little bit from this person. I learned a little bit from that person. I put it all together. I reverse engineered why my webinar had been so successful. And I realized that I needed another book. So what I did was I took the first book and I rewrote about 40% of it, but that 40% was critical because that's the 40% that changes selling a product to actually selling a service. And I'm pleased to tell you that the book that we created has become an international #1 bestseller called Accounting Clients on Tap. And this book really was the precursor, it's the forerunner for the system that I'm actually going to teach you today. So now that you kind of understand the history and where things are going, let me actually dive in and get you to the good stuff so that you can actually implement this into your practice as well. Now, fast forward a few years, and as one would expect, I've been continually refining the system, and I really got it to a point where it just fits on one single page that literally any accountant can use and customize for their particular practice. And while you can also launch a webinar like I did, honestly, there are much easier ways to actually implement the same principles that I used, and you're probably going to get very good results. So just to be clear, I'm not promising you that you're going to get 40 new clients from a single webinar, because to be honest, I don't think my results are typical, but I just want to show you what's possible. Okay, and as you can see, we're really only saying here, get a minimum of 2 clients every month. And towards the end of the webinar, I'll show you how you can scale that. So it is genuinely a minimum of 2 clients a month. And you know, I am so excited to share this with you today because I know, and I've seen this, and I firmly believe that this is going to change the way that accountants get new clients forever. We're already seeing it, and those changes are already underfoot. So if you are like most accountants that I come across at the moment, and your clients are putting that pressure on you to push those fees down, or you haven't increased your fees for a number of years, stop that, guys. We've got to get those fees up, right? We can't work for nothing. Inflation is a real thing, so we've got to sort that out. And I've got to say, 97% of my clients say that their main method of getting new clients is through referrals, right? And so then the follow-up question to them is, so, well, how's that working for you? And virtually all of them say to me, well, you know what? It's actually great. It has been great, but you know, over the last 3 to 5 years, it's just not what it was before, right? And many of them are even more frustrated because they've actually gone ahead and they've paid money to these so-called marketing gurus. We've heard that story before, and a lot of money to boot, and they're simply not getting the results simply because these so-called marketing gurus don't really understand what it's like to be an accountant and what the issues are and actually how to take their business forward. So this money then becomes wasted on these marketing experts because they just know nothing about the industry. So hopefully we're going to change all of that for you today. And honestly, the time that it takes to get clients from networking events, it's just too slow and unpredictable. Now, I love networking myself. I've got to tell you, it's a beautiful thing, but man, is it slow. I generally find you got to be consistent, maybe once a week for a year, 18 months, and then only do you really start seeing a return. And most of us are simply not in the space where we can actually afford to do that. So I've created a very, very simple 3-step blueprint for you to follow in your business so that you can literally bring in all of the consultations that you're going to need. And each of these 3 steps, as you can see there, has got 3 sub-steps. And guess what? I have got a blueprint for every single step for you. Okay, and I'm going to share the most important ones with you today. And when I do that, you're going to know exactly what to do every step of the way. So stick around, because what I'm also going to do is I'm going to actually give everybody a copy of these slides at the end of the webinar so that you've got these blueprints and you can actually take them and implement them into your business. So the best way in the world, you can take as many notes as you want. You can't take down the blueprints. That's why I'm going to give you the slides, and everything is very visual. It's going to be really, really super simple. So when you have these visual blueprints, right, you're going to instantly know what to do. And this is going to cut out probably 90% of the pain of trial and error. And remember, I did 2 years of this, so I'm really condensing this for you. And not only that, but each blueprint that I've created, as I have said, it fits onto one single page, right? So you can simply fill it in or execute it, and then you simply move on to the next thing. And as you're going to see a little bit later, you can actually hand these blueprints to your staff, or probably even better, outsource it to somebody else, where you're going to pay literally a couple of dollars per hour and let them implement the stuff for you. And you'll get the results without having to actually micromanage the process. It's really that simple. And in a nutshell, these blueprints are really going to help you to shortcut the process and to really, really get the job done as soon as you can. Right. So again, stay till the end of the webinar, and I will certainly make sure that all of you that stay to the end of the webinar get a copy of these slides. Also, if any of you need a CPD or a CPE certificate, I'll give you some details at the end. You can just mail me, and I will happily send you one for the time that you spend on this particular webinar. Now, the way that people buy accounting services or choose a new accountant has completely Completely changed because of the internet. So today people start off by actually researching. So just think about your own buying behavior, right? What is it that you do when you want to find out about a new product, or you're thinking about a new supply, right? You research. So what do your clients do? They research the industry, then they look at the individual accountant that they want to work with. So that means that by the time they meet you, they know everything. They know about the business, they know about what pricing should be, and of course, even more than that, they know all about you, because social media today, everything is accessible online. So what this means for you is that when your prospective clients are actually online doing the research, you got to make sure that you are the accountant that provides the answer. So you're the person that's got to give them that education. And people are going to be far more inclined to choose you as their accountant if you're the one that actually goes ahead and provides them the information while they're doing this due diligence, if you like. Now, I have to tell you, whether you like it or not, you don't have a choice anymore as to whether you want an online presence. The reality is that every single one of your clients is online. And so you need to be there, and not only do you need to be there, but you need to be there at the exact time that they're actually searching for a new accountant. Not only that, but you actually want to control the journey, if you like, that they're going to go through when they find you online. And we do this by means of what we call an online sales funnel. And this is what I'm so excited to tell you about. And I'm going to show you what that means in just a little bit. Now, before I go ahead and actually dive into the system, let me just create a little bit of context for you. And probably the easiest way for me to explain to you how an online sales funnel works is to show you that it uses, believe it or not, the exact same process that accountants have used for years and years to attract new clients, right? Decades, literally. It's really all about direct response principles. And for those of you that have been involved for a number of years, there was a time that we weren't even allowed to actually advertise. So we had to come up with something a little bit more creative. And the reality is, all that we online marketers did, we just took all of those offline principles and then we just brought them online and we made them work. So let me show you what I mean. So if you have a look at this, in the old days, in a way for us to actually get new clients to come and chat to us, what we would do is we would place a classified ad either in a newspaper, or maybe we'd pop it into a trade journal, and we would offer a free report, right? And the way that people would get the report is that they would have to phone in, and of course when they phoned in, we would get their contact details, and then we would stamp, we'd lick the stamp, stick it in the envelope, we'd fold up a 4-page or an 8-page or a 16-page even quote-unquote free report, which was actually a sales letter in disguise, and we would send Postman Pat off to go and deliver it. And off Postman Pat would go, and inside the package that Postman Pat was delivering, we would have a voucher for a free consultation, because we know as accountants that as soon as we get face-to-face with people, we've got a really good chance of closing them into being clients for a very long time. And then, of course, we'd have to wait about 6 weeks or so, and we'd then be able to assess who hasn't phoned us back. And then what we would do is we'd go through that whole process again, right? So Postman Pat would get on his bike and he would go and deliver again to the people that hadn't responded. And as you can see, this is quite an expensive and a very long, tedious process, but we did it because it worked. Okay, so now fast forward to today. Now we have this digital disruptive funnel. Let me show you the direct comparison so that you can actually see how far things have actually progressed and how simple and how efficient it is to have a digital funnel. So instead of doing the classified ad thing, all we do now is we're going to pay somebody like Facebook, let's say, some money. We place our ad online. It's very quick, and literally within minutes, okay, not long time like here, literally within minutes, we start getting traffic to our site. So we still have the free report, okay, it just looks a little bit different, but it's the same thing. And now they don't have to phone anymore. Now they simply enter their name and the email. That's all. It's very easy, soft, no friction. They enter that into a web page, and guess what? They get taken immediately, okay, immediately to go and get their report. So they don't have to wait for it to be delivered by Postman Pat. And of course, we still make them that exact same consultation offer, right? Still going to happen. But now all they have to do is click on a button and they can actually go to our calendar. So we don't even have to talk to them. We're just going to get an email saying, hey, John Smith has booked a consultation with you tomorrow at 10 a.m. Please be there. Okay. And it's awesome. And guess what? If they don't do what they're supposed to, we don't have to go monitor it like we did before. No. We write a simple email sequence. And because everything is automated, we'll know if they've taken the action that they're supposed to or if they haven't. So let's say they've downloaded that report, but they haven't booked their consultation. No worries, an automated email sequence will go out to go and remind them. So if you look at these two systems, okay, now you can see them side by side, literally. The first system takes at least 6 weeks to get some sort of result. The new system, the new digital disruptive system, 30 minutes max once it's set up, right? So you can see the new system is way cheaper. Clearly, it's a whole lot quicker. And here's my favorite bit. the favorite piece for me is that it is automated, right? Because once it's automated, what that does is it allows us to scale. So now we can get a lot more people into the funnel and into our business. And of course, it takes us out of the frame. So we don't have to get involved in the nitty gritty and all of this nonsense. We don't have to sacrifice our valuable productive time doing all this marketing stuff. All we have to do is pitch up and do the consultations. And I'm going to take you through this and show you exactly how to put that in practice into your own business. So just before that, I do that, I just want to show you what I call the ideal client attraction 101 formula, right? And this is really going to help you to figure everything out. And the reality is you can use this both online and offline. So this is a very, very important piece. So I'm going to use a fishing analogy. So the first thing that you need to work out is, well, who is this ideal client that you want to serve, right? This is a very, very important concept. And when you know who they are, the next logical question is, well, where are they? Because when we know where they are, then we know where we have to go and put our advertising. And in order to do that, we got to say, well, all right, how do we catch these people? How do we reel them in to become our clients? What is the bait that we have to use? And generally, that's going to be something free. So in that earlier example that I gave you, that's the free report, right? And then when they do come to that consultation, the next question is, well, where do we want to take them? What's the result that we want to give them, right? And that's very, very important for us to consider. So once we've done that, we've kind of got our heads around the ideal prospect or the ideal client piece. And the next thing that we need is to have what we call a value ladder, right? A value ladder is really just a different way of looking at the basket of products and services that you've got in your business. Now, in most instances, you simply can't get clients by going with your most expensive product or service. Okay, we know that. So you first oftentimes need to build up a little bit of trust. And of course, that's going to take a little bit of time. So what we want to do is we want them to buy services that are inexpensive. And then think as they buy an inexpensive service, we want to give them some value. And then the next thing is they're going to say, okay, well, how do I get more value? And as they get more value, they move to the next level. So that's the way that this whole thing fits into place. So a typical value ladder is going to look something like this. We're going to have a little bit of bait, as we discussed, obviously to attract new clients into our world. And that's generally going to be something for free, like the free report. Then what we're going to do is we're going to offer them something that's inexpensive, and we call that a front-end product. And really what we're trying to do is we're trying to turn them from a prospect into a paying client. And we're really going to make this a really inexpensive product that is virtually risk-free. It doesn't have a lot of risk for them. Then once they get that and we've turned them into a paying client, then we want to offer them a sort of in the value ladder sequence here, what would be considered kind of a mid-price product. And that's really going to be your core product. That's what you're actually offering at the moment, your core products and services that you sell people every single day in your practice. And then for the select few people, we're going to actually sell them some high-end, what we call back-end products. And we don't sell too many of those, but when we do, that adds a lot of zeros to our bottom line. So it's a really, really nice thing for us to actually do. Then once we've done that, the next thing, and this is really what today's all about, it's all about the automation. We go ahead and we create what's known as a sales funnel. And really, your sales funnel, if you look at it, is really just your value ladder inverted. So a sales funnel looks something like this. So of course, we start off by driving traffic into our funnel. And then at the top of the funnel there, we've got our bait. So of course, the bait is at the bottom of our value ladder. And it's no coincidence that the bait, which is free, is offered at the top of our funnel, which is the widest part, because we're trying to get as many people into the funnel, and then the funnel is actually going to do the work for us to actually throw out the people that are tire kickers, that are not really going to convert into paying clients, and it will get the people that are going to be good paying clients to raise their hands as they go all the way through. So the next thing, of course, is we're going to sell them that inexpensive front-end product that we spoke about. And then, of course, once we've converted them into a client, we're going to then offer them our quote-unquote mid-tier service. So that's the product and service we're selling today to everybody. And then a select few of those people are going to buy your high-priced products if you give them an opportunity to actually do that. And, of course, as they go through the sales funnel, this is what makes your clients more and more valuable to you. So the last thing that we need to do is we need to get people to visit our site. And, of course, this is called traffic. And remember, in our earlier example, we said maybe we would use Facebook. So that is a way to drive traffic. Now, if you understand the concept of congregations, then you never, ever, ever going to have problems driving traffic again. So when I said the word congregation, the first thing you probably thought about was a church. And yeah, you'd be right. Now, obviously, this is not a religious discussion, but let's just think about this concept of the church and the congregation. So a church is really nothing more than a group of people who are going to gather together because they've got similar values and beliefs and ideas and values, right? So let's say that I was selling a product to Catholics, just for argument's sake. Well, where would I go to sell products to Catholics? Provided I had a great product, I would go to the Catholic church, and probably I would go there on a Sunday, right? Because all of my dream clients are going to be right there, all congregated together. And as long as I've got a great product and I've got a great message, the chances are I'm going to be able to do very, very well. Now, if you think about this concept, prior to the internet, it was really, really hard for people all around the world, even people in the same city, right, to congregate together, because we were limited obviously by location and our ability to communicate. But now it's possible to reach people all over the world. We can reach anybody anywhere because they're going to congregate together and discuss virtually anything. They're going to do this in groups that hold, as we've said, similar beliefs and desires. And the other thing about it is it's so easy and economical to go online today to find out where your clients congregate and then just to put your message in front of them. So think about me. You know by now that my ideal clients are accountants. So where can I go and find congregations of accountants online, right? They're in groups, they're in Facebook groups, they're in LinkedIn groups, they're in associations, right? So I can advertise in association magazines, they're in blogs. Okay, can you see that just thinking a little bit outside the box, when you know who your ideal client is and you say, well, where are they? You really, really should never ever have a problem working out how to get new clients in the future. So the good news is you now have all of the pieces that you need to leverage the internet to get, as we've said, a minimum of those 2 paid consultations every single month. So buckle up tight. Here we go. So I'm going to give you quickly the 50,000 foot overview so that I can show you what this clear path to success actually looks like. So let me introduce to you this 3-step process, and this is really going to change your business in a very, very positive way forever. So what I want you to do is I want you to think about this as a clear path. So if we start at the bottom here at point A, and we follow the winding snake all the way up to point B, that is really going to take us from, in this case, unpredictable consultation flow to regular consultation flow. And that's really the goal. And you'll see on the left-hand side here, we've got 3 levels. It starts at the bottom, the foundation, then we have the funnel and the finish. And really, that's all there is to it. These other pieces here are really me just breaking those down for you into smaller bite-sized chunks so it becomes really, really simple for you to understand. So let's start off at the very first part, which is going to be our foundation. And let's go and have a look at what that looks like. So the first step in your foundation, of course, is to define your strategy, right? This is very, very important. And, sales funnel strategy can be all over the show. So online sales funnels can really be used for lots of things. And in this particular case, they can be used to generate leads, which is obviously what we want. We can use them to create more clients. And then, of course, to make sales of our products and services to those clients. And sometimes we'll sell to our old clients, and sometimes, obviously, we'll sell to new clients. Now, our main objective, don't forget this in this strategy, our main objective, okay, is going to be to get face-to-face consultations with our ideal client, right? That's the whole purpose. And again, we want paid consultation. So this means that we're going to take people from being literally complete strangers at some point to being happy long-term clients. And for us as accountants, the first step really is to get our prospects to agree to our consultation. Because as we know, as soon as they do that, we've got a chance to get them as long-term clients. So this means that we need a very, very specific type of sales funnel. And that's the funnel that's going to get us leads and prospects and clients for free. So how do we do that? Now that I've told you for free, I'm going to tell you something that's a bit ironic. And I'm going to say, well, the way we get them for free is that we pay for advertising. So just before you think I've completely lost my mind, let me show you what the deal is here. So even though I want you to pay for advertising, and you'll see just now why, it's really so that you can actually free yourself from the system and you can actually automate it a lot better. But I'll talk to you more about traffic a little bit later on. But the system is actually set up in such a way that you're going to get to recover that advertising investment within 30 days. Now, obviously, if you can do that, this funnel of yours is going to achieve 3 things. Firstly, we're going to have got a ton of free leads, because remember, James, what have you done today to build your list? So that's what you're going to do. That's number 1. Then what's going to happen is we're going to convert a number of those leads into paying clients. And then, of course, in that process, we will have actually recovered all of our advertising spend within 30 days so that we can go and repeat exactly the same process over and over again. So technically, it's going to cost you 1 month's worth of advertising, but and you'll get that plus more back in the first month. So you're never ever going to have to put any more money onto the table for advertising. Now, this is the way to build an email list using a high converting sales funnel. And this is really going to enable you to break even on the front end. So what the front end means is as they're in your funnel, and then of course later on when they come to the consultation, you sell them your real products and services. Okay. And this is going to allow us, of course, to recover that money so that we can continue to spend on traffic in the future. So if you accomplish all of this, you are essentially able to buy as much traffic as you want. Okay, let me say that again. Because remember, I said to you, the promise here is for you to get a minimum of 2 new paid consultations a month. Now, here's why it's a minimum, right? Because you can literally spend as much money as you want on traffic. The more you spend on traffic, the more you'll make. And if you've got a sales funnel that actually recovers all of the money that you spend, you can literally spend as much money as you want. So this is actually going to enable you to grow a long-term business that's really not dependent on anybody else, right? Or anything else for that matter. So you literally take control of it. You have that control in your own hands, and that control, sometimes you actually have to bring that control back a bit. You've got to scale it in because there's only so fast that you can actually expand as a practice. But that's a great problem to have. It's better than the other problem where we don't have enough clients. Now, this particular sales funnel that we're talking about has got another important job too, okay? And that is to build out your funnel in such a way that your prospects, when they do eventually come to you for that consultation, and when they sit face to face with you, they're actually already in the right frame of mind to hire you. And this is the part I love the most about this. And again, just now I'm going to show you what that means when I show you the psychology of the funnel. So this means, okay, if you think about it, that you actually don't have to do any selling. And let's admit it, as accountants, we hate that stuff, okay? We do not like to sell. So this is great, right? In fact, you are going to be doing nothing more than you do every single day in your practice. And guess what that is? That's just to conduct a consultation with a new potential prospect. So you're going to have to wait a little bit to find out how this ninja psychology works and how they actually are going to be in the right frame of mind to hire you, even though they haven't met you yet. But I will tell you is that this is so powerful. And it's built on very, very sound psychological principles, some of which you may not know. And I'm just going to illustrate those to you a little bit later on. And I'll show you a concrete example so you can get your head around it. And remember that comparison that we did a little bit earlier between the traditional online sales funnel and the new digital disruptive, if you like, online funnel? Well, that digital disruptive funnel, that is a perfect example, if you like, of a very simple but a very, very effective online sales funnel for accountants. Now, a sales funnel it's simply a process that you take people through, and it's used to convert complete strangers into happy paying clients. And accountants, being accountants, we're very lucky because we get to service those clients over and over again. So we'll have those clients literally for years and years to come. So this question now comes up, what is a sales funnel? Well, guess what? A sales funnel is actually really simple. There's so many different variations out there, and people make them very complex, but even the most complex of sales funnels, they've all got 4 core pieces, and we just add and embellish things, but really we don't need to do that. We're going to keep this really, really simple because after all, we're just trying to get a few clients a month. So the sales funnel can be very simple. Now, if you think about it, your sales funnel is really just made up of a number of web pages or URLs, if you like. And you just need to find a way to send people through the sales funnel. So if you think about it, right, the very first thing we're going to do is we're going to drive traffic, because if people don't know about your website or your sales funnel, then it's kind of no good. So I want you to think about a website. When you go to a website, you've got total freedom, right? You can do absolutely anything that you want to do. You can click any button, you can watch a video, you can close the website, you can come back later, doesn't matter, right? But when you're in a sales funnel, that all changes, because our goal in a sales funnel is to take our prospects, if you like, through a journey, a very specific journey that's going to put us in the best possible position for them to know that they need our products and services. So make no mistake, the journey is good for them too, but it's even better for us because it actually puts our best foot forward. And really, if you think about it, people are really going to have to travel from left to right. So as you see the sales funnel put up here, really all it is it's a sequence of web pages or URLs. So it's a website on steroids, okay? And I'm going to show you what those steroids look like. And really, it's not very complicated. But the thing to notice is that as soon as people get into that sales funnel, they've only got 2 options. The one is they can bail out, right? Or they have to go all the way through. So we essentially take the freedom away from them until they've gone through our sales funnel, because as we said, we want to take them through the journey that's best suited for us. So once we've driven the traffic, the very first thing that's going to happen is we take them to what's called a squeeze page. And remember, James, what have you done today to build your list? Well, this is the mechanism that we use to get the email address. And of course, in order for us to do that, we need to give them something for free. And that's like that free report we spoke about. So that we call a lead magnet or a free gift. I love this for accounts. I got to throw this in because every now and again I say to accounts, we call that an ethical bribe, which by the way is a term that we use in the marketing space. And sometimes accountants' eyebrows raised, but essentially it's an ethical bribe because I'm giving you something and I want something in return, which is going to be that email address. Then of course, when they opt in, then of course now they want the thing that we've just promised them. So we take them to the thank you page where we're going to give them this thing. And we make a little tweak here. And this little tweak has made a phenomenal difference to everybody's sales funnels and to the business. So what we do is we just give them a little video and we do a little training on that free thing that we gave away. And then once we've done that, we take them to a conversion event, because now that we've given them that little training, we've earned the right to ask for something. And that's all a conversion event is the right to ask. And of course, what we're going to ask for is that consultation. So whether it's paid or free, you can choose, and I'll show you why later, but of course I'd prefer that you made it paid. The other cool thing about this is email marketing. Now, email marketing is fantastic because what it does is it puts our funnel on steroids. So I'm going to show you a little bit later on some of the nuances, but essentially we follow up everything with email because people need a bit of reminding, you know. People don't always do everything that we want them to do when we want them to do it. And it's not because they don't want to. They just get busy and they've got other stuff to do. So we just make sure that we can actually drive people all the way through our funnel with some email reminders and follow-ups. And I'll show you what that looks like in just a little bit. So having a sound strategy that we've just discussed, this is what takes you from that hazy marketing plan, or maybe you've never had a marketing plan before. If you do, it's ineffective, to something that really is going to give you absolute crystal clarity of exactly what to do next. So you know what you have to do every single step of the way. You don't have to think about it anymore, and you can get it. You can just get on with signing new clients. And your marketing now really, it becomes fail-safe because you've done all that hard work up front and you really don't have to think about it. So the best part for me, of course, is that it's super simple, right? Anytime you can get anything onto one page, you have to apply yourself, and it has to be super, super simple. So the second part of the foundation is now what we call your avatar. And again, the word avatar is just fancy marketing speak for client. So we speak about your ideal avatar, or your ideal client avatar. We're just talking about whoever your ideal client is. Now, listen up, okay, because I cannot say this more clearly than I'm going to tell you right now. Of every single thing that I teach, right, this is by far the most important gift I can give you. Let me tell you that again, just so you understand the value of this. Of everything that I teach you, this is the most important gift that I can give you. Just getting this one single piece right, I promise you, has the ability to completely change your business. I've had clients that have literally changed businesses, and I've had others that have changed who they deal with, how they work, and of course their revenue has risen dramatically because of that. So going back to our ideal client attraction 101 blueprint, we'll see here that this covers generally points 1 and 2, right? So remember, what we're covering there is who are they and where are they. And then the other thing that we're doing is we're starting already to think about what bait we're going to need. And of course, we'll be able to determine what bait we need by the result that we want to give them when we have that consultation with them. So I've got to tell you, this concept of the ideal client, it floors me regularly. But for some reason, it is so misunderstood. Now, I can tell you, all right, from experience that, and I've been doing this since 2011, all right, probably teaching accounts since 2013, not a single client of mine ever, all right, has been able to identify their ideal client. So what that's got to tell you is that the level of ignorance around this is huge, right? I'm not saying it's definitely not your fault, but the reality is it's there. And I don't only deal with accountants, right? I deal with all sorts of other professionals, and it's exactly the same. So what I've noticed is that the real issue is that accountants really just don't know what questions to ask. Because the minute they know what questions to ask, already in their minds, they already know about 70% of their answers. So let me tell you an interesting fact. I always ask new clients, and sometimes people that are prospective clients, I say to them, okay, on a piece of paper, write down for me who your ideal client is. And have a guess how many items they write down on that list. Okay. The average across the board, after speaking to hundreds, if not thousands of accountants, is six things. And the first two are generic, okay? Because the first one is everybody says to me, oh, they must pay on time. And the second one is because we're accountants, we don't want them to be doing scaly nonsense. We want them to be, above board. And so the reality is that most accountants can only come up with 4 defining characteristics. And as you can understand, it's going to be very, very difficult for you to build a really successful business on the back of that. The minute you know more than that, suddenly now this takes your business to the next level. And the good news for you is there are only 5 core pieces that you actually need to know. So the very first piece is picking a profitable niche. Now, again, for accountants, I sometimes have a lot of difficulty getting this one through because it's counterintuitive. So what I'm saying is, listen, shrink the size of your market rather than expanding it. Again, you're going to say, James, have you lost your mind? Well, no, I haven't. And let me tell you why. When you shrink the size of your market and you concentrate on a specific group, it becomes much easier to find them. So remember, we spoke about the congregation concept. So in my world, let me tell you about my experience. So I deal with accountants. Right? Now, if you think about it, I've been an accountant all my life, so I know so much about the profession. I understand all about you. I know what you're going through in your practice. I know what the challenges are. I know where I've got to take you, and I know the things that are frustrating you. So it's very, very easy for me to take the system that I've created for you and simply apply it to your business because I understand you intimately. I don't have to think about what I'm doing. It's natural. It's second nature to me. So when I'm doing it, it's quick and it's effective, right? So every now and again, one of my accounting clients comes to me and says, James, can you maybe help one of my clients? And of course, the answer is always yes. And those clients clearly are not accountants. So guess what? I have to work 3 times as hard, literally. Because now first I've got to actually understand that industry. And only once I understand that industry can I actually help them. So just think about what you pay to your GP when you go for a doctor's checkup. And then heaven forbid that GP has to refer you to a specialist. Okay, then you're going to mortgage the house. So that should tell you everything you need to know. The more you specialize, the easier this whole game gets. And obviously what you want to do is you want to find a niche that's profitable, right? So make sure that they can actually pay. That's number one. The second piece of this is what we call demographics. And this is just pure facts, right? Who are they? Very, very simple. Who are these people? So are they male? Are they female? Where do they live? Are they married? What sort of income do they have? Have they got kids? All of those sorts of things. Now, there's 2 reasons that we use this, right? The first one is that we speak to people differently. So when we speak to men, we speak to them very differently to how we would address women. Similarly, let's say you're dealing with generation X, Y, and Z, you're going to talk to them very differently than to someone who's, say, a baby boomer or a little bit older. So we have to know these nuances, and it really helps us in our communication to people. And when they bond with us, that's when they become paying clients. The other thing, of course, is remember that example we spoke about with Facebook? If you know exactly who they are, man, your return on investment goes through the roof. So think about this. Let's say you go to Facebook and you know your avatar. So you say to Facebook, listen, Facebook, I want you to show my ad to female attorneys who are between the ages of, let's say, 25 and 45, and they must be within a 20-mile radius of my office. Okay, Facebook will do that for you. They know who those people are because they've got incredible intelligence. And of course, your return on investment is going to be huge because you're only going to get people that are interested in what it is that you're offering to click on your ads. Then, of course, number 3 is the where are they. Now, I really don't think I have to say any more. I think if I tell you one word and I say congregations, you should know exactly how to actually go about finding where your ideal clients hang out. Now, this is the point numbers 4 and 5, okay, where you really got to start listening because this is actually the core. So the next slide that I'm going to show you talks about what we call the pains and gains, or the frustrations, and the wants and the desires. And this is such an important piece. And really, this is what forms the absolute core of your sales funnel. And this is what gets people to move. So let's have a look at this in a little bit of detail. So I'm going to spend a bit of time with you here, but really understand that this is vital. So, depending on which study you believe, we've only got between 3 and 7 seconds when people actually see our communication for the first time to get their attention. So we've got to make sure that we do a really, really good job. And the way that we do that is we solve a problem of sorts. And the best way to solve that problem is to get into the pain of that problem. And we solve something that's very real, and we do it at an emotional level. So if you have a look at this matrix that we've got, on the left-hand side in the light blue, we've got what I call frustrations and fears. And then on the right-hand side, we've got the wants and aspirations. So we've got the pains on the left and we've got the gains on the right. Now, if you've followed people like Tony Robbins and others, you'll probably have heard 1,000,001 times that people will do more to avoid pain than they will to gain pleasure. So as you can see, the horizontal axis there, we are moving away from pain. So that's all on the left-hand side. And bad news sells, so that's why we see most news is bad, and it's exactly the same with our clients. So for the vast majority of us, we're going to be operating on the left-hand side. But guess what? There's one exception to that rule, and that exception to the rule is what I call true entrepreneurs. Now, you'll know those people, okay, because those are the guys that go do stuff, and then after they've done it, they come talk to you and say, oh, can you fix this? Right? These are the guys that do crazy things. They're the guys that'll take risks. You'll know who those entrepreneurs are. Now those people are motivated by wants and aspirations, so you're going to market to them on the opposite side. But I would hazard a guess that for 90, maybe even 95% of you, we're going to play on the left-hand side with the frustrations and fears. So as you can see in that matrix, there's really only 6 questions, right? So I've got 4 for you on the left and 2 on the right. So when it comes to frustrations, the first question is, well, what is their biggest frustration? And that's exactly what it sounds like. It's something that just drives them demented, and it happens over and over again. Now, in the accounting world, there's quite a lot that we can actually get involved in there. The next one is, what is their biggest struggle on a daily basis? Now, a struggle generally tends to ensue when people are trying to do something that's kind of hard for them. Maybe they don't do it often enough, or they're just not up to it, that they haven't learned how to do it, and it's a chore. Okay, so things like processing and bank recons and that sort of thing, cash flow management, that stuff's a chore for a lot of people. So this is where you want to get in and actually solve a number of those problems. And then what are the biggest obstacles? Now, an obstacle, you've got to understand, is something that if you do not overcome that, you won't have a client. So you've got to actually see what their obstacles are, and you've got to help them to overcome them. So, for example, financing might be an obstacle. So you might come in and give them some clever idea in terms of how to finance something that they hadn't thought about. Now, the granddaddy of all of this is in the bottom there, under the fears box. And if you can answer this question, right, you're going to be well placed to create a killer sales funnel. And that question is, what keeps your prospects awake at night? Okay, because this is the stuff that they're going to be prepared to pay for. So as soon as you know what keeps them awake at night, you're able to take that information and actually create a perfect sales funnel. And then just for completeness, on the right-hand side, if you look at the wants, it's oftentimes a polar opposite to the frustration. So if somebody says, I just hate having to do my bookkeeping because it takes me an hour every single night after I cash up, they're going to say, well, I just want somebody to take this off my hands. So you can see it's kind of diametrically opposed, but aspirations are a little bit deeper. So think about yourself. Why did you get into your business, right? And all entrepreneurs, or virtually all of them, have the same mindset. Well, they got in so that they could be their own boss. Wow, guess what? They thought that they were going to have all this free time. Well, guess what? You work for the worst boss in the world. It makes you work harder than anything. They want to create financial security. They want to create legacy businesses. They want to build something that they can leave to people. They want to look after their family. They want to look after their clients. They want to look after their employees, right? Those are the sorts of things that you want to address when you're dealing on that side. So if on the fear side, and we're asking, what are what keeps them awake at night? If you're stuck for inspiration, then what I suggest you do is just pick the big two. Every single client I ever speak to, and I say, what do your clients want? They say, well, their biggest problems are cash flow and compliance. Okay, so I'm not telling you anything you didn't know, but that's a great place to start if you're stuck for inspiration. Now, once you know exactly who this ideal client is, you will know exactly where to find them. So this is going to take you out of that realm where you have that shotgun approach where occasionally you get lucky. And if you look at your practice, okay, and you've got all these clients that you hate, and you look at it and you say, where did they come from? Well, they came from the scattergun approach. But you're going to change that now after today. What you're going to do is you're going to be laser targeted. You're going to know exactly who you want. You're going to know exactly where to find them. And you're just going to go and put your message in front of them and get those people that come into your practice. It changes the game completely. So now that we know all of that, the last thing that we need to complete our strategy is the value ladder that we spoke to you about. Now, I'm going to spend a couple of minutes on this value ladder for you because it is so valuable, and a lot of accountants really get an aha moment here. So, of course, where does it fit in our ideal client attraction 101 model? Well, of course, it has its own little place in the sun because, as we've said, when we inverted it, becomes our sales funnel. So let's have a look at a practical example here. Now, a good value ladder is going to have these 6 components to it. Now, just remember, when we're talking about a value ladder, when we speak about the value, so if you look here on the right-hand side, you will see, obviously, I've got an arrow that's going up. So as the arrow goes up, we provide more and more value to our clients. So when we speak of value, it's not the value to you. Okay, it doesn't matter what you think. It matters what your client thinks. So if your client feels that they're getting more value, that's where they go up the value ladder. And then on the left-hand side, clearly, if you're giving them more value, or they think they're getting more value, then you can charge them more money. And many times, that's going to increase your intensity. So what that means is that you're going to have to give them more resources. So many times, as a partner, that's going to be you. But it could also be you putting more staff onto the project. It could be you putting some clever software into the game. It could be literally any resources that you put into the game. So the idea with this is that as somebody gets value at one level, they look at it and they say, okay, that was good. They've built up a little bit of trust, and they say, okay, what else can I buy from this accountant? Then you give them some more value, and they say, well, what else can I buy? And this is how we get them higher and higher up the value ladder until they get all the way to the top. And that's where we make a lot more money out of our existing clients. And this also enables us to bring new clients into the practice. So let me give you a kind of a practical example. So let's look at the very bottom of our value ladder. And remember, we said this is the bait, so it's going to be free. And we call this the lead magnet, as we've already discussed, and it's going to be something really simple. So let's just use a very simple example. Let's say it's kind of tax filing season, and we put out a report that says the 5 key things that you need to do to ensure that you get a tax refund. Yeah. Now, somebody that is looking for that information is going to just absolutely gobble it up. That's what they were looking for. They were online. When they were doing their research, your thing came up. You promised them something for free. They're in like Flint. The next thing that we want to do is we want to turn those prospects into paying clients. And you may say, well, because as soon as we turn them into paying clients, now what we've actually done is we've increased our odds by 10 to 20 times of being able to get more money out of them in the future. So you've heard the story. It's easier to get more money out of your existing clients and get new clients. Well, this is an example of that. So what would we do? So I would take that first little checklist of 5 points that we gave them for free, the lead magnet, and I would take that and I would just expand on it. So maybe I'd now have a 5 or a 7-page report, and in there I'd go into a lot more detail, right? So I'd tell them everything. I'd tell them the forms that they would need. I'd tell them the phone numbers that they had to phone. I'd give them all the information. I'd tell them which sites to go to. Everything that they need, right, would be in there. And I make it very, very cheap, right? So you can see in international terms, around about $7. In South African terms, maybe 99 Rand. So it's very, very cheap. It's like throwaway money. Then once they actually grab that free report, now we get to what we really want. Okay, this is the piece we're all after, and that's the consultation. So here's the question now. Should you charge money for the consultation, or should you do it free? Now, this is going to be your choice, but I'm going to teach you today how to actually get them to pay for it, and I'll tell you why I want to do that. I found that for me, when I'm doing free consultations, my close rate is much lower. So I'm generally closing maybe 1 to 2 people out of 10. When they pay for a consultation, 7 to 8 people actually become clients. So think about that logic for a minute. Okay, I'm getting paid to do this job, and more of the people that I'm seeing are actually converting into clients. It's almost a no-brainer. So generally, you could be charging literally anything for that, but it's generally going to be less than you would normally charge. So maybe you'd be charging, say, $47, $97, or more. Okay, but that's a really, really good rate to make people not even think about it, where they just dive in and say, here's my credit card, take my money. And in South African terms, I find 500 Rand tends to be the magic number. But you can, of course, do the free consultation if you still feel compelled to do so. Then the next thing, of course, is our core service, right? That's that mid-price product, and for most of us, that's what we're selling. So for the sake of this conversation, unfortunately, I still see way too many accountants doing the hourly rate thing. That's fine if that's your model, but really try to get rid of it. And probably the best way to get rid of it is to actually go ahead and to charge a retainer, right? So the next piece in our value ladder is to actually get people to pay us a monthly fee, because as soon as we do that, what starts to happen is that our cash flow improves dramatically and there's no more fight. So the way we used to do this when I was in practice, we'd wait till year end, when the big fee comes, because we've done the year end audit or we've produced the financials and it's tax time. And then we'd kind of work out what it took us to do the audit. So let's just say it's like 120 grand, just for argument's sake. Then we'd go to the client and we say, hey, John, listen, we know that, this was tough for you. We've got a suggestion. We went through all of our invoices for this year. It came to 120 grand. Tell you what, why don't we just divide that by 12? We put that on debit order. In fact, we won't even increase the fee. We'll keep it at 10 grand. What do you say? And virtually every single time they said yes. And you know what? A couple of months in, they've forgotten about it. It's part of their overhead structure. They're happy. We're happy. No more fights, okay? No more getting on the phone. Our cash flow's improved. One of the best things you can do. But just think about it. There's other ways also for you to get recurring income. So I just want you to apply your minds, because that also is going to take your consistent income to another level. And then my favorite, of course, is the big ticket item. So when you've got a reasonable client base, probably about 5% of those people can actually be turned into really, really high value clients. Now, as long as you give those people value, and again, remember that's perceived value to them, they'll pay you obscene amounts of money, but you obviously have to be able to deliver on that value. So things like coaching, that's great. Maybe you do like a mastermind where you're getting 10 CEOs from different industries together, and you get into a room for a weekend and you brainstorm stuff. Or maybe you go into a client and you turn their whole business upside down, right? You go and you analyze everything and you make a whole bunch of suggestions and you improve their business. Those are the sorts of things that you can do, and clients will pay you a lot of money for that. Now, having said that, we really just want to concentrate today on that little piece at the bottom. So we are obviously concentrating on trying to get that consultation, that one-on-one consultation booked. So it's really, as you can see there, those first 3 levels. Once they actually come to the consultation, then you got to worry about the stuff on top. But I thought I'd tell it to you so that you can start thinking about it. So when you're designing the journey that you want your new clients to go through, that's what's going to happen. And if you're successful and you take them all the way through that journey, this takes you, when you've got a well-defined value ladder, from income that's capped, right? Because a lot of us are in a commodity business and we've got nowhere to go. Suddenly now, your income is virtually infinite, right? Because you are able to massively increase the lifetime value of each client to your practice. And of course, that lifetime value is going to be for those existing clients, and of course, all of the new clients that you're going to be able to bring in because of the system that we're teaching you today. So there we have it, right? Now we've got our foundation sorted out. It's now time to really get into the nuts and bolts of designing your actual funnel. So this is the client generating piece. Now this is the second piece. Let's have a look at what that looks like. So again, just before I do that, let's do the zoom out and let's go for that 50,000 foot overview. And you'll see here what I've done here. This is what I call our signature funnel, and it's actually the same representation that I showed you a little bit earlier. It's just a different way. It's a more linear way. I find accountants are a lot more linear and a lot more logical, so this makes a lot more sense. So if it does, remember, we go through the foundation. We know what our strategy is, we know who our ideal client is, and we've got our value ladder sorted out. And then we drive traffic into our funnel. Now, listen up, okay? Some of you are going to love this and some of you are going to hate it, okay? You only need one source of traffic. Let me say that again, one. Okay, so when all these gurus are telling you you must do social media and you have to have a Facebook page and you must post on LinkedIn and you must have a blog and you must do search engine optimization, and stop all that crap. Stop it, okay? If you're a big company and you feel you need branding, knock yourself out, okay? But if you're a sensible person and you're trying to just get a result and you want to go and spend money and get a return on that investment, you just need one source, guys. We're just trying to get people into our funnel. So if you're going to master Facebook advertising, do that, right? Doesn't matter what that source is, but you only need one. And I'm going to show you later how to actually get somebody else to do this for you. But just bear in mind, you only need one source, and then you drive that source of traffic into the funnel, right? And that's it. It's as simple as that. This is the whole system, as you can see here on one page. So let's look at the first piece, and obviously the first piece in that funnel is the attract piece. This is now how do we actually get paying clients into our business. So remember, it's all about the bait, right? We've got to put something out there in order to get their attention to bring them into our business. So this we do by means of what I call an automated leads machine, and I've created a nice little easy to remember acronym for you, LEADS, for leads. And often this is really the first exposure that your potential clients are going to have to you. And you can see that this leads machine has really just got three pieces to it. So number one is the free gift. That's what we spoke about. That's the free report that we're going to give away, the lead magnet. Then we're going to take them to the squeeze page. So you remember the squeeze page, its job is to get their email address. Then once they pop that email address in, now of course they want the thing that we promised them, and then we take them to piece number 3. That's the thank you page where we give it to them. And I call that the authority positioning page, and I'll show you why I call it that in just a little moment. So where does it fit in our signature funnel? Of course, it's right up front. We are driving traffic into the leads machine. So the primary goal of this leads machine, just so you know, is to get their email address. Okay, remember, James, what have you done to build your list today? This is really, really key, because once somebody gives you that email address, things really turn on its head, because suddenly you're actually in control of the relationship. So you can decide when you want to communicate with them, right? So you're going to send them an email anytime that it's important to you to do so. And we're going to talk a little bit about that in just a while. Now, obviously, we're going to need their contact details to start this engagement. And in the online environment, the best way to do that is obviously to get an email address. Now, I bet, right, that you don't just go ahead and give your email address to just anybody. So now the question is, if that's you, okay, your client's exactly the same. So how do you get people to give you an email address? So the first thing is that you've got that little devil on your shoulder, or on their shoulder, that you've got to overcome. And that little guy, he's saying things to them like, well, who is this person? I wonder what it is that they really want, okay? What is it that they're going to try and sell me? Are they going to spam me half to death? Or, are they going to take up a lot of my time? So you've got to overcome all of those objections. So you better make sure that you give them something of both high real value and high perceived value. In other words, they must think that it is so valuable to give you that email address in exchange. And really what I want you to do is I want you to think of this as a transaction. So even though you're giving this away free, I want you to think about if they had to pay for it, they'd still be happy. All right. And if you get that right, then you will have created the perfect lead magnet. So let's go and have a look at this. How do we do that? Well, the answer is, and again, very counterintuitive, but trust me on this, just give away your very, very best stuff. You don't have to worry, because most people aren't going to do nothing with it, right? They aren't going to do anything with the free stuff you give them. But what you want is the reaction to be, sure, wow, if they're giving me this for free, their paid services must be really, really great. And once you get into that frame of mind, you're off to the races. Now, the best lead magnets are really very easy to consume, right? And you want them to be easy to consume because your contact details are going to be in there. So you want them to get to the end, see how awesome you are, and then you want them to contact you. So the best way to accomplish this is answer the biggest burning question in your niche. So remember a little bit earlier when we spoke about the pains and gains, and I said to you the granddaddy is that question at the bottom. What keeps them awake at night? Well, you know what? If you can answer that question, you have the perfect lead magnet. Okay, so let's have a look at what that means if we run through the leads machine acronym. So the L in the acronym stands for the loan problem. So you only need to solve one particular problem. Okay, you're not going to solve all of their ills at once. You're just solving one particular problem. So it's one problem, one solution. And then the E is for expedient. And this is good news for you, because what that means is that your lead magnet must be short. Okay, you want them to be able to go through it in less than 5 minutes, and preferably just like look at it once and be able to take it in. So this means that they're very quick to create. They're very, very easy. So great lead magnets are things like checklists, cheat sheets, case studies. Oh, that people love case studies, right? So where you can show them how you've helped previous clients. And honestly, 1 to 2 pages of content is more than enough. All right, then the next piece, the A, that stands for building authority, or authority positioning, if you like. And I'll show you in a minute, but we do this by means of a video. So when they actually go to the page to get the free thing that you've offered them, you do that quick little training, and that builds up your authority. That's its goal. And then D is a division of your main product or service. So if you think about it, you're just solving one little piece. You're not solving every single problem, because remember we said one problem, one solution. So that means that there's a whole piece that's not solved. And this gives you the ideal opportunity to say to people, hey, listen, I've solved this one piece, but you should come and talk to me. In other words, come to a consultation, because I want to show you what all the other pieces are. And then the S stands for specify what to do next. And you can write this one down, because you're going to use this forever and ever, not only in a sales funnel, but S, you want to specify what action they must take. And in marketing terms, we call that a call to action. We know what we want people to do, but they don't. So we just tell them in absolute detail, do this, do this, do this. Yeah. Tell them exactly what to do, and I promise you they will go ahead and do it. So let's have a look at part 2 of the leads machine, which is obviously the squeeze page. Now, remember, I'm going to give you these slides. So this is an example. You can literally emulate that. There's formulas in there. You can just plug them in, and you'll have a perfect lead magnet and a squeeze page. So what I want to do is just show you an example of this is an older one of mine, but this will actually illustrate the concept to you. So at the top, in big red bold letters, it says attention accountant. So what am I doing? I'm just calling out to my market. So guess what? If you're a lawyer, if you're a doctor, if you're a plumber, if you're an author, don't come here. I have nothing for you. Go away, right? Then I say free report reveals revolutionary new system that fills your practice with only high-paying clients by getting them to approach you in less than 33 days. So very, very specific, okay? Because remember, we said that we want to give them absolute value. We dealing with their biggest question, and for me, in my world, accountants want more clients, right? So that's the biggest issue that I can help them with. Then, of course, remember, I'm trying to sell it, so I've got these benefit bullets over here. I really have to get them to buy it, because it's not easy to get that email address. Remember, the little devil's on the shoulder. I got to overcome that little guy. Then here's my call to action. All right, remember, I'm going to specify what to do next. Download this free report before your competitors wise up. And then here's another instruction. Click to learn more. And then over here, it says download now. So it doesn't matter which one of these two buttons they click. When they click on it, a little form pops up and says, hey, where do you want us to send the report? And then they'll ask you for your first name and your email address, okay? And the one thing to notice here, that on this lead magnet, there is no other thing that you can do, right? When you come here to this squeeze page, the only thing you can do is give us your email address or leave. And that's what we want. So that you can't click anything to go to a website or anything. No. That's your only option, because the only goal of this squeeze page is to get that email address. And we already know how important that is. So once they then actually go ahead and they request it, you take them to that authority positioning page. And then on that page, we'll do a little video. So you can see there's 6 points, show you what the video script is. But essentially, it's really, really simple. You thank them for taking the time to opt in. You congratulate them, because most people do nothing. And then you establish your authority positioning. So you just set an expectation, and the expectation is what to expect in that free lead magnet that you gave them. And then what you do is you literally walk through it. You know, if it's just 2 pages, you go through it and you show them what's going on. And when you do that, what happens is you suddenly take that inanimate little 2-page report that was like meaningless, and now because you spend 5 or maybe 10 minutes with them explaining it to them, suddenly that thing takes on a life of its own. And now you've built up some credibility because they've heard your voice, and obviously they've had the opportunity to see that you do know what you're talking about. And then you've earned the right, and the right is to ask them for whatever it is you want next. And of course, that's the conversion event. And for us, the thing that we want more than anything, of course, is to get the consultation. So that's how that whole piece fits together. And when you've got that all sorted out, literally your lead flow goes from a trickle of leads, or maybe no leads, to literally a raging torrent. And this is where you have very nice problems, right? You've got to put people on a waiting list, or you've got to bring more staff into your practice. But it's a better problem to have, of course, than the other one. So now that we've got that sorted out, Now it's time to go and convert those new leads into paying clients. And this happens, of course, by means of that conversion event. So if you think about it, up to this point, we've achieved the first part of our objective, right? Remember when we spoke about our strategy, and that was to capture the leads. So now what we need to do is we need to start working on the second part, right? Which is to recover our advertising investment within 30 days. So obviously, if we're going to want to recover our advertising investment and recover any money, we have to sell something. Okay, and the something that we're going to sell is a product that we call the tripwire. And a tripwire is really, again, it's a kind of a marketing term, but really all it is a very inexpensive product that's worth, I like to make it worth at least 10 times what I actually charge for it. And if you can do that, it becomes very effortless, and people will go all the way through your funnel. So again, where does that fit into our signature funnel? And you can see there, obviously, it is between your lead magnet and the conversion event. So this is the point in your Client Attraction 101 blueprint where you actually go ahead and you convert your prospects, okay, those were people that jumped in the top of the funnel, we didn't know who they were, into paying clients. So the tripwire actually has 3 main goals. Right? It's a very, very important product. In some ways, maybe the most important product you'll ever sell, because this is the one that creates the new client. So the first objective, of course, is to start recovering that advertising spend. And of course, as we've said, the best way to do this is to just offer insane value, and we do it at a stupid, inexpensive price. Now, what we want here is for this to be an absolute no-brainer decision, right? So we want our prospects to look at it, say, yep, take the credit card out and just buy it. So I did touch on it a little bit before, but what I find is price point of, say, somewhere between $7 and maybe $27, or maybe 99 Rand and maybe sort of 299 Rand. That's probably quite a good price point, because really, if you're selling something for $7, like, nobody has to think twice about spending $7. They don't have to ask permission. And guess what? If you give them the biggest load of rubbish, it makes no difference. It's like, $7, so what? Okay. Now, I know that you're thinking, well, $7 is not going to pay for a whole lot of advertising. And you would be right, but it is a start. But the good news is that this is not its main goal. It's only the first goal. Essentially, the main goal of your tripwire is not to make a lot of money, but it's actually to create a new client. You see, a buyer, and a buyer, in other words, is someone who's actually given you money. No matter how much or how little, let me say that again. No matter how much or how little, that person is statistically a minimum of 10 to 20 times more likely to give you more money in the future. In other words, to become a repeat buyer, a repeat client. So the other good news for you is that once they buy that product, even if it's just $7 or let's say 99 Rand, when they do that, we now get their contact details. Because remember, first time around, all we wanted was like an email address and a first name. Okay. And the reason for that is the more impediments you put in place before they know you, the less inclined they are to give you information. But the minute they become a client, then, you know, all bets are off. Then you get all of their contact details, and the relationship gets taken forward immensely. So this is very, very important. And then, of course, the last thing that we want for accountants, the real prize, and that's what today's all about, okay, is we want to get them into that face-to-face consultation. So just so you know, my clients are getting probably about 7 to 8 out of 10 conversions every time they do one of these consultations. Now, while you might be thinking that's not so great, remember, this is not a warm referral, okay, where one of your existing clients referred someone. This is taking a total stranger from not knowing you all the way through a sales funnel and then them giving you some money. Okay, so that's actually quite staggering. And this is the process that we go through in order to do that. So the best way now for me to illustrate all of that stuff for you is with a practical example. So what I've done up until now is I've given you all these component pieces, and maybe they're all floating around. What I want to do now is just pull them all together. Let's pull all of those concepts together, and this is the time when we show you all that ninja psychology. You'll see how that whole thing pops through. So let's just use the example that we used in that value ladder a little bit earlier. And of course, the first thing is that we're going to go ahead and we drive traffic into our sales funnel. Now, the way that we drive that traffic is actually very important. Remember, we're going to solve their biggest problem. We did speak all about solving that first particular problem, and then whatever the method of driving traffic is, let's say you send them an email, or maybe you did an ad, you have to, in that ad or that email, you're going to solve the problem. So that's the first thing. Then of course we're going to try to get them all the way through our funnel from left to right. So we start off and we get them to opt into our squeeze page, and we give them that lead magnet. So we said that we'd give them that little one-page checklist with the 5 things that you should do to be assured of getting a refund from the revenue authorities. Then of course, once they do that, we take them through to the thank you page, which we call the authority positioning page, where we actually give them that. And here's where the magic starts to happen, right? Because if you think about what's happened up until now, you've already got a little bit of credibility, right? Because you've taken the trouble to know what their biggest problem is and you've solved it for them. Then Now you go insane, right? Because no accountant does this. But now what you're doing is you do a little video for them, a little training, and you show them exactly how to use that thing that they just opted in for. But you don't stop there, right? Even though your trust index is going up like crazy and you're building up that authority because they've heard your voice and maybe they've seen you. They don't have to see you, but at least they've heard your voice for the last 5 or 10 minutes, and you actually explained everything to them. Now they're in a situation where you're going to take them to the next level. So what's the next level? So now that you've given them that little bit of training and you've built up your authority, you've earned the right to ask. And what we're going to ask for is in our conversion event. And what we're going to do here is we're going to combine the conversion event with that authority positioning video. So remember we said that we're going to now sell them our tripwire, because that's obviously very important. And that's what's going to actually enable us to turn them from a prospect into a paying client. And we give them the tripwire. And the reason we actually do that, to be honest, is just because we're in that sort of instant gratification world and they want something tangible that they can get their hands on. And this also gives us a great excuse to give them the low price ticket. So not only now have you given them this training, but now you say to them, listen, I've got this 5 or 7 page ebook that really goes through everything in great detail. And you know what? It's only $27 or whatever the case happens to be. And then you say to them, and not only that, but I will actually go ahead and I will throw in, quote unquote, a consultation. And the reason that you ostensibly throwing in the consultation is so that you can make sure that they can actually implement everything that's actually in that free report. So just think about what has happened. It's insane, right? You've already addressed their biggest problem. You've given them something for free. You've given them a little bit of a training. Okay, now for a stupid price, right? You've given them even more information, and you've shown that you're a real person, that you stand behind your products, and you even prepare to give them a consultation to make sure that they can implement. Okay, hopefully now you can see that your trust index is sky high, it's through the roof. So now the conscious mind sometimes might be thinking, yeah, but come on, man, how am I going to get a consultation for $27 or $47 or whatever we sold that for? But the subconscious doesn't think that. The subconscious says, you know what, I paid for it and therefore I've earned it. So when they come to see you, they're not questioning anything, right? They're already in the frame of mind to hire you because they know they've paid for it. You've already built up your trust, as we've said. So when they come to you, guess what's going to happen? They're just going to sit there. They're going to tell you absolutely everything. And guess what you're going to do? You're going to sit there. You're going to listen, just like you do in any other consultation. You're going to make notes. At the end, you're going to just say, so you told me this, this, and this. Here's a solution. And they're going to, 7 or 8 times out of 10, they're going to say, yes, please. And that's how you're going to sign up a new client. And then, of course, don't forget the email sequence that we have at the back end of this. So the email sequence is designed to make sure that they don't get stuck anywhere. So this is a very, very important concept. So once you've got all of that together, this takes your lead generation and your client generation and the ability for you to get those consultations. It takes that manual system that you might have had, and it just automates it. The minute you automate it, you get to scale everything, you take yourself out of the picture, and this is how you get a minimum of 2 new paid consultations every single month forever, or as many consultations as you need. So finally, let's go ahead and let's actually put this sales funnel on Turbo Boost. So remember when they opted into your squeeze page? What we were trying to do was get their email address. That was the whole thing. So we've got a little piece of software that runs in the background called an autoresponder. So you might have heard of things, you might even be using them like Aweber or MailChimp or ActiveCampaign. And really, that's just that little automated piece of software that runs the whole process. So remember the situation that we spoke about here. So let's say that they actually opt in. They then go through to our authority positioning page. We do that little training for them. We sell them the tripwire. They actually go ahead, they buy the tripwire, but they don't get into our consultation. Well, guess what? Because we can track everything, what's going to happen is we're going to know that that particular email over there is going to get fired off. So let's say that John has gone through this process and John hasn't done what he's supposed to. We send out an email and the email says, John, I have to tell you this, George jumped onto this consultation last week, and guess what? He's already got his first client. There's really only 2 days left for you to jump on, so please, I don't want you to miss out. Get onto it. And you know what? The reality is that, again, John just needed a little bit of a push occasionally. Oftentimes we just get busy and you have to follow up, and this just automates the follow-up, and it follows up at exactly the right time. But, and here's the great part, not only can you use the autoresponder to do that, but you can actually keep sending emails into the future. And this is very, very important, because if you think about it, many times when people opt in, they are not really ready to hire you as their accountant. So sometimes we got to just keep sending good information. And maybe you'll just do, a monthly communication with them. Now, I'm not talking about sending all that nonsense that other people send. Send stuff that's actually useful to your clients, stuff that they want. And if you do that, they'll open your emails. And over time, the longer that they stay on your list and the more people you've got onto your list, as their circumstances change, so you'll get more and more clients from that system. So building your email list is incredibly powerful. Literally, every time you send an email, you literally could get clients, or you could make money. And I got to tell you this, I love this story. I've got one client who's completely contrary to everybody else. So most of my clients, whenever the legislation changes, they whinge like stuffed pigs. It's like crazy, right? Oh, we got to do this CPD. Oh, we got to do this. Oh, we got to. She says, bring it on. So I said to her, why are you so excited? She says, because every time they change the legislation, she says, I go to my clients and I say, hey, the legislation has changed. This is the implication for you. Oh, and I can help you to solve it by doing this, this, and this. She says, every time they change legislation, I make money. So start using all that CPD and that CPE that you go to and actually use that to send out emails to your clients. And I promise you'll make money every single time that you do that. So now you've got the nuts and bolts of the whole system together. The last step of that system really is to finish with the implementation. So we've really got to put it all together. So this step really is what's going to take us from preparation, because that's pretty much what we've done up until now, all the way through to execution. And execution gives us that final result of 2 paid consultations every single month. So now, of course, that we know exactly who our ideal client is and we know what we're going to sell them, there are really just 2 things for us to get up and running. So the first thing in our automated machine is obviously the automation. And then, of course, the other thing is for us to actually go ahead and get clients. Now, many accountants start hyperventilating around about now because, I don't know about technology, etc., etc. Well, guess what? I don't want you to know about that, okay? I'd actually prefer you don't, and just let somebody else do it, because other people can do it better than you can. So think about your clients, right? They come to you and they outsource bookkeeping, just as an example. Can they do bookkeeping? Yeah, of course they can, right? But it's not economical. It doesn't make any sense for them to do it, because they're going to take 5 times as long as you, and the amount of time, the amount of money that they can make using that time is more than it is to pay you. It's exactly the same concept, right? This is what allows you to automate it. Just give this stuff to somebody else. And the way that we do that is by what we call outsourcing. So outsourcing, where you get other people to do it for you, this takes you from being completely overwhelmed to being uber productive, right? Way more productive than you currently are. And really, outsourcing, if you think about it, is actually a way to buy back time. So outsourcing is a very powerful skill to learn, because not only can you use it in this online sense like I'm showing you now, but you can actually use it in the rest of your business. I'm sure you can think of a number of ways to do it. So let me just show you what outsourcing looks like. Let me show you the process just to show you how simple and easy this is and how effective it is. So you may or may not know this, but outsourcing is actually one of the world's largest industries, and it's actually been going for decades, right? So even though you might not be doing it, it's been around for a long time, which means that there's a whole bunch of sites out there that are well established, and it's really easy for us to go ahead and use these sites. So let me show you what this looks like. Now, there's one site out there called Freelancer, and coincidentally, or maybe not so coincidentally, another name for an outsourced worker is a freelancer. So what's going to happen is that the freelancer, that would be the person on the left, they're going to register on the site. And let's say you are the employer, that's you on the right, standing up there. And then what's going to happen, the minute that you guys register, now you can get access to the site and you can start communicating. So the freelancer is then going to take all of the examples of the work that they've done, and they can then upload it online. So that means that you can actually go and have a look. So let's take that free report that we spoke about a little bit earlier, the one that we're going to charge $7 or $27 or whatever it is for. Now we need a cover for it, right? Because it's got to look spanking and swanky. So what you're going to then do is you're going to want to get that. So you've got a couple of choices. The first choice is you can go onto the site and you can have a look at all of the different freelancers that provide graphic services. And if you find somebody you like, you can reach out to them. But you know what? There's a much better way. It's much easier, it's much quicker, and probably much cheaper. And that is you go ahead and you just post a free job posting. So what you would do is you say something like, hi, I'm an accountant. I've got this report cover that I need. It's got to be done in 7 days. This is the title. Here's my logo colors. Thanks for coming, right? You post that project, and you can post that project for free. And then what's going to happen is the site is going to take that project and it's going to show it to all of the freelancers that have graphic skills, because that's the way the thing is designed. And here's the cool part. What's going to happen now is that all of these freelancers are going to give you quotes. So they're going to bid against each other, but they don't know what each other's bidding, right? So that's like a reverse auction, brings the price right down. So you go ahead and you check out who you want, and you go through all of those different proposals that you get, and only then do you have to fund the project. So the minute that you actually agree to take somebody on board and for them to do your project, now you fund it, but you don't give the money to the freelancer. You pay the money into escrow, and that sits with the site. Now the freelancer is secure, so the freelancer will go ahead, they'll do the work, they will let you know when the work's done, You approve the work if you're happy, you say to the site, I'm happy, and then and only then will the site release the funds through to the freelancer. So it's a great system, everybody's protected. And then at the end of this whole process, they're going to ask you as the employer to actually rate the work of the freelancer. So this is great because what happens is when you're looking for a freelancer, you can actually go and look at those ratings that the freelancers had before. So you'll know things like how long they've been on the site, how many jobs they've done, what the satisfaction is, so it's generally a rating out of 5. So, it might be 4.95 out of 5 or something like that. So it's very easy for you to actually establish who the key players are. So it's quite easy when you take this whole system to make sure that you get a really good job first time out of the box. So I implore you to think about this, and how can you use this in your own business? Can you outsource bookkeeping? Can you outsource somebody doing your financials? Outsource somebody getting on the phone and booking client consultations for you. Okay, the mind boggles. The things you can do with this are absolutely endless. So if you decide that you actually want to go for this and you want to post a project, I've got this slide for you. It's really simple. It looks way worse than it is. There's 13 pieces there, but honestly, it's 13 sentences. Okay, just write a project. It's very, very common sense, and you'll be off to the races and get the right person. So a couple of things that I just want to tie up with now. I want you to outsource this stuff. Okay? I think I've made that fairly clear because it's not worth your time to do it. But if you're stubborn, like me, or you want to just give it to your staff, what I want is to at least put you in a position to know what you're doing. And even when you outsource, I don't want you to be at a disadvantage because you don't know what you're talking about. So let's just talk about the technology stack for a minute. There's 2 different options that you've got with a tech stack. So the first option is cloud-based, and the second option is self-hosted. So in an accounting sense, think of something like Xero Accounting or QuickBooks Online. That would be in the cloud. We all kind of know that. And self-hosted might be something like Pastel Desktop. So there's obviously pros and cons to each. Without question, you should go into the cloud. Okay, and the main reason for that is because of the technology that's involved in that. So when you're trying to put stuff onto your own server, you've got to be the guru, or you've got to have somebody who's the guru that gets all of that stuff to work. But if you think about it, take Xero Accounting or QuickBooks, you don't have to worry about that. They sort all that out. If there's a problem, you phone their support. It's not your problem, it's their problem. So it becomes very, very easy. And today, honestly, the costs have come down dramatically. So sure, you've got to pay monthly, but you know what? It's a heck of a lot cheaper than actually having to buy a server and put that into your business. So really, when you actually analyze those costs, it's really minimal. And quite honestly, you can actually start building a funnel for as little as $10 a month. And included in that, you can get a website. Included in that, you can sell things, you can have membership sites, email addresses. I mean, it's insane. And literally, it's drag and drop. Okay, it's got to be simple and helps always at hand. Now, the other option, which a lot of you might actually have, is a WordPress website. So if you've got a simple website and like a little developer or a website designer is created for you, they've used WordPress. Now, about a third of the world's websites are built on WordPress. So it's a really great system and it's free. But remember I said to you that a sales funnel is like a website on steroids. So you're going to have to buy a few little pieces of software to do a couple of those things, and we call those plugins. So you buy a plugin to create, for example, your squeeze page. You'll pay generally once off for that, but although they say you only pay once off, the reality is that because WordPress changes their system at least 4, 5, 6 times a year, the plugin developers have got to keep improving and they've got to stay up with the pace of everything else that's going on. So what I generally find is every year to maybe 3, they bring out a new release and then they make you pay again anyway. So my real advice to you is it's so much harder to try to do the self-hosted thing when you're the person who's got to maintain it. Just go online, literally $10 a month, all it costs. It's like a no-brainer. Obviously, if you're going to do something a little bit more in-depth, you're going to need to spend a bit more. I generally found a solution for $30 a month, $30, and really it's out of this world. It does everything you could possibly want and more. So the last thing I want to just talk about is traffic, right? Because remember, we said you've got to get traffic into your funnel, because without traffic, nobody's going to know. So it's very, very important. So there's really only 3 different types of traffic. Although you might think, oh, I can do all of these fancy things. Yeah, you can. But if you break it down, again, there's only 3 different types. So the first type of traffic is what I call, quote unquote, free traffic. Now, technically it's free, right? Because you're not putting your hand in your pocket and taking money out and buying it. So this would include things like blogging, where you write articles on your own blog. Maybe you do guest blogging, where you write articles on somebody else's blog that gets a lot of traffic. Search engine optimization, so that's some of the stuff that you do to obviously get ranked on the first page of Google. Social media, like a Facebook fan page. Now, all of these things are okay, but guess what? You have to be consistent with them, because the minute you're not consistent, they lose all of the traction that you've got before. So what that means is it's very unpredictable. You can never predict when somebody's going to come to your website and read that blog post. So it's a little bit of a problem, and I'm trying to teach you a system that's going to get you a minimum of 2 new consultations every single month. I can't do that with a traffic source that's unpredictable. So am I saying you shouldn't do it? No, but I'm saying you shouldn't rely on it for this particular system. What you should rely on, if you can, and it's definitely the best solution for us, is paid traffic. So paid traffic, as we've said, we go somewhere, we give them money, they send traffic to our site. We can actually monitor that particular traffic source. We know, did it convert for us, yes or no? If no, note to self, don't do that again. If yes, next month, scale it. All right. And that's how we go through it. And of course, when you actually outsource this traffic generation to somebody else who's probably better at it than you are, even though you're paying them a fee, they're still going to get a higher return on investment than you are. And you don't have to worry about it. So honestly, this is where I want you to be. I want you to phone somebody up, press a button, pay them some money, and then people just like appear in your calendar and you do these consultations, right? If you put this whole system together, that's exactly what you get. And then the last piece I want to talk to you about is what we call partner traffic. Now, this is so cool, and a lot of my clients use this. I use this a lot. It's a fantastic system. And the concept's quite simple. You want to find a partner that thinks the same way as you do, that actually services the same type of client base that you do, but you actually sell them different products and services. So remember I said to you, I deal with accountants and financial advisors. Those are just 2 groups. So in my experience, those 2 groups are fantastic because they have such a lot of synergy. So typically what would happen is the financial advisor would send an email to their list saying something like, oh, I've got this fantastic accountant I want to introduce you to. He's got this brilliant system of how you can do X, Y, Z structure, maybe save some tax. What's going to happen then is that some of the financial advisor's clients are going to be interested in that offer, and they'll actually become clients of the accountant. And then the accountant will do something similar for the financial advisor. So at the end of this whole process, what's happened is that both of your clients are better off because you both added extra value. You now have a number of clients that are joint clients, and the 2 of you can literally swap these clients backwards and forwards for years and years to come. So it's a brilliant way to get involved. And of course, this is something that is relationship based. That's something we're very good at. We take this offline, and it's a really, really great way for us to get clients into our business. So before I get you guys to questions and answers, which I'm going to go through in just a bit, I've got an exclusive webinar only special offer. And at the moment, just to tell you, I'm not going to be asking you for any money today. So you really should stick around and watch this. Really what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how I can help you if you want me to help you with implementing the system. So let's just do a quick recap. In this webinar, we showed you the foundation, and that's how to take that strategy from non-existent or hazy to crystal clarity, where you know exactly what to do. And then we saw how we're going to create an automated sales funnel to take complete strangers all the way through to happy lifelong clients. And then, of course, we're going to get rid of all of the stress, all of the overwhelm. We're going to outsource everything so that we don't have to worry about it. And that's going to take us all the way to implementation, where we don't have to worry about the technical expertise and the driving of traffic. And that's how we actually get the results. So if you feel that you need some help, then I want to show you how I can actually help you to get your sales funnel up and running in 40 days. I was going to say in the next 40 days, but you'll see in a minute. It's not quite the next 40, but I'll show you what I mean in just a moment. And really, once you've got it up and running, because it'll take you about 40 days from when you start, realistically, okay, we'll get the thing up in 30, but realistically in 40, because we've got to do some testing and some stuff, and then you'll be off to the races. So don't worry about it. Let me show you how I can actually go ahead and to help you to do this. So we've created a program. Well, we're actually in the process of creating it. We're going to be launching it very, very soon. And really what it's designed to do is exactly what I showed you today. To get you a high converting sales funnel, we're going to get that live within 40 days to get us a minimum of 2 to 5 paid consultations booked every month. And as you've seen, if you want to scale that traffic to get more, you can certainly do that. So let me show you how this works. Really, there's 4 core weeks that are bundled into this, and then there's a bonus week to help you with implementation. So let me show you what that actually looks like. So week 1 is all about working out exactly who your ideal client is. So remember, I set up everything I teach you. This is the most important thing that I can possibly teach you. So we're going to dive fairly deep into those 5 areas that we spoke about. So firstly, we'll show you how to pick your ideal niche. That's more important than you might think, by the way. Then we're going to map out the demographic profile. So obviously we're going to know exactly who they are. Then we're going to cover the many, many ways to find them. So I'm going to take that congregation concept a little bit further. And after this session alone, I promise you will never, ever have to worry about where your next client's going to come from, because you're going to have access to more clients than you're probably going to be able to handle right now. Then I'm going to show you how to get into the mind of your ideal client, okay, by literally discovering their biggest pains and gains. So we spoke about that. So even though you probably already instinctively know the answer to this question, you need to actually write this down and to get a complete profile of those clients. And I'm going to show you how to do this online. And I'm also going to show you how to do offline research. So online research, offline research, how to get all of those answers. You probably have 70% of them. I'll coax those 70% of the answers out of you, and I'll show you how to get the other 30% that you don't know. Then in week 2, this is where we're going to actually design the funnel. This is of vital importance that your funnel is actually congruent, because what's going to happen is that people are going to start, and without even thinking, they're going to take that credit card out and they're going to go all the way through till they land in that consultation with you. So I'm going to show you how to easily create your lead magnet, and obviously the tripwire that we spoke about. I'm also going to give you a number of different options to choose from, and I'm obviously going to show you how to get it completed, because that's the key thing. We'll show you the tech, we'll show you the marketing platform, and I'm going to give you templates, right? I don't want you battling with this stuff. I'm going to give you templates for everything. It's literally going to be copy and paste after we've got all the info that we need. Then in week 3, I'm going to dive into the powerful world of email marketing. So this is actually so important. I'm going to spend a whole week on it. And I'm going to show you how to craft a world-class email follow-up system that's going to help you to convert more of those prospects, obviously, into paying clients. And of course, this week here is the week that I'm going to take you a little bit further into the technology. So I've actually got no doubt, because I see this all the time, especially with accountants that are so close-minded, because they're panicking a little bit about technology. But honestly, you will be pleasantly surprised at just how easy this is to set this whole thing up, and including your email follow-up system, right? Your funnel, your follow-up system. Literally, if you can drag and drop and use PowerPoint, you can do this. Then in week 4, it's all about implementation. So this is where we're going to cover how to actually outsource everything. So we want to outsource the technical stuff and obviously the traffic, if that's what you decide to do. Now, of course, you can do all of this stuff yourself, as in you personally, or you can give it to your internal staff members if you prefer. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to cover a couple of key traffic sources with you. And obviously, I'm going to show you how to outsource all of this stuff in a very, very effective way. So I'll give you templates and emails to write and all of those sorts of things. And really, outsourcing, if you think about it, it's really the missing piece to you essentially getting your sales funnel to run on autopilot, because the minute that you get somebody else to do it who's better than you are, that takes you out of the frame completely. And this is really going to help you to get new clients coming into your business every single month. So week 5 is going to be a question and answer session, and this is really going to be your opportunity to smooth out any last minute issues that you might have relating to your sales funnel before it actually goes live. And one of the reasons that this is so important is you need a facility to get you unstuck, right? Because I need you to actually get to the end of this. I don't want you to pay money and spend so much of your time building this thing for a month. I don't want you to be like I did, where you didn't get a result, okay? I need this thing to work for you. The other thing is I've got a couple of other surprises for you. I promise you they are so cool, probably worth more than what I'm going to charge for the program. Just by themselves, but you're going to have to wait a little bit until then to actually find out exactly what they are. So you might be thinking to yourself, well, I can't get started because I'm not a technology buff. Well, that would be a huge mistake, because as I've said, you don't need to be a tech guru. In fact, I actually think that it's better that you're not, and I genuinely mean that. The tech today, as I've said, is so simple. If you had to use it, you could. That's the key thing about it. It's so easy to find solutions if you're up a gum tree. Now, just to make sure, okay, that there are no tech issues for you, as a bonus, I'm actually going to be giving you 2 pre-built sales funnels that are already configured. So all that you or your staff, your outsourcers have got to do is you change the details. But when everything gets clicked, it all goes where it's supposed to. The emails go off. Everything happens. The lead magnet gets delivered. It's all pre-configured. You don't have to worry about it. Not only that, but I will actually load it into your personal marketing platform so that you've got virtually nothing to do. And honestly, I'm pretty sure that this bonus alone is probably worth 5 times the value of what we'll be charging for the course. And your customized funnel will literally take you no more than a day to get live. Once we've done all that other hard work, when we put it all together, it's really as simple as that. To go with that sales funnel, I'm also going to give you my personal email autoresponder sequence that I use in my business. So it's high converting already. I give you the templates. Literally, all you're going to do is you're going to change out my information for yours, and you know it's going to convert out the gate. And guess what? I will put them also into your marketing system. So you don't even have to input that. You're just going to go in and change the content. You'll update it. It's really as easy and as simple as that. Now, another bonus that I'm going to give you is my book called Sales and Clients on Tap. So I wrote this book, and you can actually kind of think of this book as the manual, if you like, for everything. So when you want to actually refer back to it and have a look at something that you're a little bit unsure of, it's very easy to find it in the book. So you don't have to go and watch videos and go through copious information. It's all going to be there. It's very, very quick to get your head around. Now, just in case you like 67, 68% of the world, where we are more orientated towards visually seeing things, and video is becoming more and more prevalent, it's much easier when you're learning something, in my experience, to actually see a video so you can actually see it in action. So what I've done is I've taken that book and I've actually created a whole course for you. It's got 10 modules. don't panic. You only need about 4 of them. The other 6 are there for later on if you want to grow your sales funnel to the next level. And really all you got to do is go through it, apply that stuff. It's easy to find that there's bite-sized videos and you can actually see everything as we go through everything. And then as part of that, I've actually got a case study that I did. And this is probably the most important piece of content maybe that I've ever created, because what I show you there is I look over my shoulder as I actually go ahead and define my ideal client. Now, if you're an accountant, you're going to love it because that's you. So I'll show you the process that I went through in order to find out how to actually market specifically to you. So you'll see when you go through that how successful I was in terms of choosing my ideal client. So that's great. I think just that piece of the case study alone is about 3 hours of training, and it's brilliant. I spent literally weeks planning that and taking you through that. It's worth the price of admission alone. So you're probably thinking to yourself, okay, so what's the catch? Okay, and yes, there is a catch. And the catch is that there are only 10 slots available. All right, and the reason that there are only 10 slots available is because this is what we call a beta program. And so, like, I hate to say this, but it's true. You're kind of like my guinea pigs, or you will be. And when I say that, I say that with great affection, because really what I need to do is to work out any of the kinks. So I've created many digital products in my time. And I know that when you create the final version of the product, you want to be in a situation where you've answered all the questions. So the reason I'm going to do this is I'm going to get to work really closely with a group of 10 people. I'm going to get in the trenches with you, and we're going to really get this thing going. And I want to find out what all the problems are so that I can iron them out for when I actually create a digital version of this product. And I'm probably going to sell the digital version for more than I'm actually going to charge you guys for this beta program. So guess what? There's a big advantage here. So what I didn't tell you before is, and remember, there's only 10 slots. And the reason there are only 10 is because I'm going to give you not 1, not 2, but 5 30-minute sessions with me one-on-one. Okay, so let me explain to you how this is going to work. What happens is each week I'm going to teach you guys as a group, all 10 of you, what to do. Then you've got to obviously go away and do some stuff. Then before the next session, you're going to get on the line with me for 30 minutes. We're going to use that 30 minutes however we need it. If we've got to get you unstuck with something, if we want to brainstorm something, if we want to take your business to a new level, it doesn't matter. But I've got to make sure that you get to the end of this. Because remember, this is as much for me as it is for you. So I'm invested in this thing, and you need to be invested too. So I'm going to make sure that nobody gets left behind. All of you have got to get a sales funnel out, and all of you got to be getting at least 2 new paid consultations every single month. So that's the goal here. And the only way for me to do that is to make sure that I'm available for you one-on-one. Okay, so there's going to be no reason for you, right, not to get your sales funnel live within 40 days. That is vitally important. And you're getting 2.5 hours of my time. And again, I promise you that the price that you will pay for the course is probably less than I charge for those 2.5 hours individually if you were going to consult with me. So the question is, when is it going to be? Well, I'm not 100% sure. It's just there are a couple of things that are a little bit dependent, but it's probably going to start on either the 6th or the 13th of June, 2019. It's going to run for 5 weeks, as you can see, as I say, either starting the 6th or the 13th. So timing, I'm not quite sure what time, but generally what happens is I'm out in South Africa and I have clients really into the US and the Canadian market. So what's going to happen is I'm probably going to run something that's going to be in the morning in the US and Canada and probably late afternoon in South Africa. So the moment we've got our 10 people into the group, then what we'll do is we'll firm it up. And even if we change the day from a Thursday to something else, and the time doesn't matter, I just want to see what's going to be most convenient for everybody. But that's kind of where we're at. So if you want to actually jump onto this program, you can see there, you're going to go to regularclients.com/beta. But before you do that, just know this: you cannot enroll directly today. So you can't give me money today. Okay, I'm not going to take your money. I promised you up front that that's not going to happen, and I'm going to stick to that promise. So your question is, okay, James, what you're telling us about is, what do I have to do? Well, not only is there something that you have to do, but I'm actually going to give you even more value. I really do appreciate the fact that you guys have actually jumped on this webinar with me today. And because of that, I'm actually going to give you a 60-minute strategy session with me. Okay. Now, I call this a 60-minute client growth strategy session, and it's going to be with me or one of my team members. And really, this thing is so valuable because as we go through it, this is really additional value for you. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to determine what your growth goals and your growth objectives are. Then what we're going to do is we're going to determine where your business is today. So it's just very, very factual so that we know what we got to work with. And then I've got to look at what those roadblocks are that are going to be slowing you down or holding you back or really just plain stopping you from hitting your growth objectives. Then what we're going to do is we'll determine the best plan of action for you to take to achieve your objectives, right? Now, during this process, obviously, we're both going to be able to determine whether this program is right for you. So I'm giving you the bonus because I can give you a little bit more value. And as I'm doing that, we're both being able to make that assessment. Now, I want you to know that regardless of whether this program is right for you or not, does not matter. Okay. You will leave with a personalized client growth plan that is customized just for your practice. And the good news is that if you are the right fit for this program, the strategy session that we're going to do is really going to help me tremendously to actually personalize this experience for you in the program. So remember, I've only got 10 people, so I can actually do that because I've got enough time to do it, and I'm very, very invested in getting this result. So this will be probably the only time in history ever that I'm going to have the time or the inclination to do this, again, because I've only got 10 people on the program, so I can give you that extra special attention. So here's what to expect on the strategy call itself. So we're going to start off by mapping out your growth goals. And I want you to get results fast, right? Remember, this program is going to get you up and running in 40 days. So I want you to be looking into the future, not far, far, far in the future, 6 to 12 months, okay? Don't want to go further than that. I want to get you those results soon. And this is going to help me to understand your business and the best type of funnel that's going to be suitable for you. And I've got to tell you this, I generally find that accountants tend to underestimate rather than overestimate what's really possible when it comes to growing their client base. So this is going to be a real eye-opener for you. Then we're just going to do a little current diagnosis of where your business is now. So this is going to allow me to just find out what the objective starting point is. So we're going to consider things like cash flow, client flow, your available time, other available resources, whatever it happens to be, just the facts. And again, I find that most accountants have never really had clarity on this. And really the last time they sat down and critically looked at their business, are they working on it, might be years ago. And some of us actually never. I hate to tell you this. So this is really us myself or members of my team guiding you through a really focused 1 hour session so that you now get to work on your business as opposed to in it. And then once we've done all that, we've got the starting point and we know where you want to go in the next 6 to 12 months. All that remains for us to do is to find out what those roadblocks or challenges are that are really stopping you from getting where you want your practice to go. And then, of course, once we've got those 3 pieces of the puzzle, we can devise the perfect growth plan for you and whether the program is going to be right for you or not. And if I don't think that the program is going to be a right fit for you, I'm going to suggest a different course of action for you. I'll tell you what I do think is going to be right for you. I've been doing this for a long time, so I've got a really good grasp on it, and you're really going to walk away with something that you can use. And when you leave the strategy session, okay, you're going to have that plan in place, and you're going to know exactly what to do next to get your practice to wherever it is that you need to take it. So I'm actually going to be giving everybody that jumps onto this 1 hour strategy call with me a copy of my book, the international bestseller that I spoke to you about earlier, written specifically for the profession, called Accounting Clients on Tap, and you get to keep that, right? Even if you don't end up on the program, it doesn't matter. It's just my way of saying thank you, getting online with us to consider jumping onto the beta program. So regardless, again, of whether you end up on the program or not, I promise you this will be the most important hour that you ever spend working on your business all year because of the guided process we take you through. And I say that because that's the feedback that I keep getting from people. You know, I always ask them, what did you get out of this? And like you can see their heads exploding. It's wow, clarity. Thank you so much. So I promise you it'll be well worth your while in order to do that. So what I want to just say to you, I'm going to answer some questions now. And just before I do, if you really want to get hold of me and you want to jump onto the program, the details are there. So if you want to get onto the program, I suggest you go there now. Go to regularclients.com, which is obviously our website, /beta. So if you want more information on our website, that's regularclients.com. But if you want to book specifically for this, and remember there's only 10 slots available, so don't delay, jump on as soon as you can, regularclients.com /beta. If you want to email me directly, I'm very, very easy to get hold of. It's james@regularclients.com. I answer that email myself, so there's no gatekeepers or any nonsense like that. I use Skype a lot because many of my clients obviously are not within close proximity to me, and we don't really have to be because we're all in the online space. So you can reach me on Skype at james.malfetus. If you do, just tell me who you are, because I get all sorts of strange things coming through there, and I just ignore the people that I don't know. And of course, if you want to get a hold of me, there's my mobile number as well. So at this point in time, I just want to say thanks so much for jumping on to the webinar, as this is probably going to be a recording now that I'm actually going to put up. So I've edited this little piece that I've tacked on at the the end. Obviously, I can't get you to necessarily ask me questions right now, but what you can do at this point is you can actually, as you would generally, just pop something into the question box and an email will come through to me and I'll come back to you and I'll give you the answer. But really, there's not a whole lot to tell you about, I think, that we haven't answered. One of the questions, obviously, that comes out is, well, how do we actually end up doing this? And what we're going to do, because we're dealing with just 10 people, we'll do it in a relatively closed group, and we'll probably use some sort of technology, something like Zoom or something like that, where we can all communicate with each other. So it's going to be really informal, really sort of a closed group, and it's going to be a lot of fun. Everybody's going to share, and remember, I've got to get you guys over the line at the end of the day. Well, I just want to thank you guys all for being on this webinar. It really means a lot to me when people actually take time out of their day to actually listen to me. And really what I want you to do more than anything is actually apply the stuff that you learned on this webinar. So you're going to get those slides. So if you do want a copy of those slides, remember, just email me at james@regularclients.com and I will certainly send them through to you. If you need a CPD or a CPE certificate, let me know as well, and I'll gladly send that through to you. But I really just want to say I do appreciate you being on the webinar with me. Keep an eye on your inbox because we keep doing different webinars. We'll send you invitations to the next one. Our goal is just to get you more clients and make you sell more stuff. Okay, that's all we exist for. Everything that we do is all about you. So keep an eye on that inbox. Hopefully, I'm going to see you on one of the consultations, either me or my team. And you can, of course, book that at regularclients.com/beta. If I don't see you there on one of those consultations, hopefully I'm going to see you in the beta course. And if not, I'll see you on the next webinar. So until then, this is James, the marketing accountant, saying thanks for joining me. And I look forward to chatting to you real soon.